All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our business presentation meeting this evening. Glad to have you guys on and look forward to explaining to you about our company, what we do, the types of people that we're looking for, how you could benefit. And so really excited to share that with you this evening. My name's Cameron Agnew. I'll be the first speaker this evening. I've been with the company now, I'll be 16 years full-time next month. And so just to tell you a little bit about myself, how I got into the business, what ended up happening is I went to school in the States, went on a golf scholarship that it was good, but I went to university for 3.5 years, didn't get a degree, took business. Two challenges that I had with taking business in school. Number one, my business teachers had never owned a business before. And number two, I felt like I was learning a bunch of info that wasn't applicable in real life. Ended up switching into psychology, seemed a little bit more hands-on, and, went to university for 3.5 years, didn't get a degree, came back to Edmonton, wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, started bartending, ended up managing one of the busiest nightclubs, in Edmonton. And I knew I didn't want to do that forever. So I was searching for something. I always knew I wanted to have my own business, but not sure exactly what kind or where to go. And it was around that time that I got introduced to WFG. And I was actually looking at getting into the financial industry because my mom worked at the bank for 25 years and she had some friends that left the bank that were stockbrokers, mortgage brokers, insurance brokers that were doing really well. So I really started to look into the financial industry. And then around that same time, I was approached by WFG and it was just a great fit, got started. And when I first started, I wasn't sure if this would be for me or not. Growing up, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in my life, but I was pretty sure I didn't want to be in the financial industry because my mom worked at the bank for 25 years and, she had like files and clients and offices and all that. And I thought, oh gosh, I don't want to do that. But it's a lot more fun, obviously, than working at the bank. But, 16 years later, almost, here we are. And it's been an amazing, amazing career, business, lifestyle that's allowed us to do some amazing things, which I'll kind of dig into. So my part of the presentation this evening, we'll be talking about what our company does. What are the products that we provide, to the marketplace, how we help clients on that side of things. And then Gregg, the second speaker, he's going to be talking about more about the business side of things. So I'm just going to dive right in. But one more point I want to make. I never thought I would be in the financial industry. So for those of you that don't have a background in the financial industry, we have a training program that teaches people all of the different ins and outs, which I'll get into a little bit of that today. So I'll get the first slide up. Now, our company, when I was getting into the financial industry and I was wanting to start a business, I wanted there to be a solid backing. So our company, WFG, we're owned by a company called Agnew. And as you can see on the screen there, 29 million customers worldwide, 1.17 trillion with the T in revenue generating assets, businesses in 20 countries around the world, and they're almost 175 years old, older than Canada itself. So when I was getting into the financial industry, I wanted there to be a solid backing. I thought older than Canada, almost as many customers as we have Canadians. That's a really big older company that I could, really plant my flag with. So I'll get the next slide. Now, the WFG, if you haven't heard of WFG before, we don't do a lot of marketing, but we have some powerful partnerships. So, you can see there on the screen, the top left, Toronto Argonauts. We used to sponsor them. They won the Grey Cup while we were sponsoring them. We did some NHL marketing. You can see below that. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a bunch of curling. Pretty much if you turn on TV, you're going to see WFG on the curling. Maybe it's a commercial on the ice, on the backboards. You can see middle top of the page, Tony Robbins. We've had a couple exclusive training events that he's done for our company through that. Below that, Jennifer Jones curling team. We used to sponsor them. They also won a gold medal when we were sponsoring them. Top right, Forbes magazine, Canadian Business, other ones as well too. And below that, bottom right-hand corner, you can see the Ed Milet show. Now, Ed Milet was a WFG agent for, I want to say, around 15 years, and then basically took a role with WFG to move the entire organization. But the reason we mention him is he has, from what I heard, the top business podcast in the world. interviewed all sorts of famous people that you would have heard of. And so he's a WFG homegrown agent. And essentially he teaches, you know, the rest of the world now what he's been teaching us in WFG since I've been in business. So those are some of the powerful partnerships that we work with. We don't do a lot of advertising, which I'll dig into on the next page, or traditional advertising. So you get the next page. Now, WFG, what we are is we're an independent broker. So we don't have any of our own products. We shop around to get people better deals. So we don't do a lot of marketing, like I said, but this is the power of our company in WFG. Is if you look at the screen here, the banks, the big insurance companies, education savings companies, home and auto, I mean, collectively, they would probably do millions, possibly even billions of dollars in marketing every day, marketing their brands, so that when we sit down with a family and talk to them about some products and services, they've already heard of those companies. So that's why we don't do a ton of marketing, is because our product providers that we work with, they do a ton of marketing, and we're really distributing their products. So ones that I want to point out, the banks, BMO, RBC, TD, you know, you look at big insurance companies, Manulife, Industrial Alliance, look at investment companies and worldwide investment companies, you know, Franklin Templeton, Fidelity. You look at Aon, they're the largest home and auto broker in the world. Knowledge First is the largest RESP company in Canada. So my whole point is that we work with some of the biggest and best companies, financial companies in Canada and even around the world, to basically get our clients better deals. So when I was getting into the business, I was like, okay, well, Agon is a very powerful partner, a lot of stability there. And then the products that we provide people are companies that everybody's heard of before, and some of the biggest and best in the world. I thought, wow, this is an amazing opportunity to be able to help people with these different products, which I'll dig into here in a second. So that's our company, WFG. We're brokers, and we help people with the best products and services that are out there. So I'll dig into that here on the next page. Now, when you start a business, you want to have a product or service that people need, obviously. So when I was getting into the financial industry, you know, all those major companies that we talked about, I thought, okay, that's really important. But what is it that we actually do? And I'll kind of dig into that. Now, if I came to you with a business and I said, hey, this business that we're talking about, you sit down with 10 families and you could do business with 6 or 7 out of 10. That would be an incredible business. I think you would agree. Now, just to contrast that, if you were to get into real estate, and, you know, I've studied for the real estate course, I've done a bunch of real estate investing over many properties over many years. And the thing is, so I'm not trying to say anything bad about real estate, but if you called everyone you know and said, hey, I'm a realtor now, I want to help you out, I would say maybe 1 out of 20 people would be actively looking to buy or sell a house. So it just gives you, you know, less people to talk to. And the reason I mentioned that, in our business, I was referring to our business, I sit down with 10 families and I'm going to help 6 or 7 of them out of 10. So that's why we're super busy. So you might be saying to yourself, how is that possible? Well, let's dig into it. So on the far left, in blue, you can see the insurance. So insurance is a product, you know, that we provide. So you look at travel insurance, you know, helping people with that. Not as much today, but that'll turn around eventually. Life insurance, you know, because of COVID, life insurance sales have gone up. Probably doesn't surprise you. And we're brokers, so we can get people the best products and the best deals. Critical illness insurance, same sort of thing, helping people with that. Disability coverage, you know, a lot of people aren't properly covered on this side of things. You know, they're not properly covered at work. They don't have any coverage at work. You know, funeral planning, health and dental, you know, all sorts of different areas. So just in that alone, we can help a lot of people out, you know, with insurance-based products. And just as an example, a lot of people have lost their benefits because they've been laid off lately. And, you know, through Manulife, we can help people get set up, you know, with health and dental with a new plan that they might have lost from their previous career. So that's on the insurance side of things of what we do. If we move over to the right-hand side and we look at investments and savings, this is in the green. You know, the first area that you can see there are RSPs, as you can imagine, with COVID going on and the volatility in the markets, we're helping people a lot there. And again, the reason that we're able to help a lot of people with their investments, get them a better deal, is because we're not just stuck selling one company's products. We can really shop it around. Then you can look at non-registered accounts, tax-free savings accounts, I'm sure that you've heard of. You know, another thing, people are getting laid off, but they're getting packages, pensions, and so we'll help people invest those. Our DSPs, if you've heard of those before, our ESPs, kids education plans. So I mean, we're able to help people with all of their investment needs to get them a better deal. Now, something that people sometimes, you know, they're like, well, I didn't go to school for that, you know. But the thing is, when we're helping someone with an investment, we're matching them up with a company, you know, let's just use TD as an example. And then TD hires a manager that basically is really, really, really smart, has all sorts of degrees, and then those are the people managing the money. So what our job is more is to match them up with the right company, and then that company manages the money, and then we get a referral fee or a commission for basically doing that. So that's on the investment side of things, which is an awesome area right now as well, also because of COVID. And then the last thing at the bottom in the orange, you can see the referral partnerships. So on the right, home and auto insurance, we've got some good referral programs there. I guess you could imagine that people want to spend less money on home and auto insurance, not more. So we help people with that side of things. Debt consolidation is a huge thing because of what's been going on in the world right now. There's a couple different areas that we can help people with that. But overall, just lowering their interest rates, lowering their payments. And again, we refer these to companies that specialize in that. They pay us a referral fee. And then the last one is mortgages. This is a huge part of our business right now because, you know, because of COVID, the governments and the banks and everyone have lowered interest rates to all-time lows, all-time lows. And people that had a mortgage before that's at a higher rate can now get one, you know, at a lower rate. So, I mean, literally with my own mortgage, I got it last May and it was 3.09. And then I'm just in the process of fixing it up, and I'm going to go to around that 1.7 range, and it might even be a bit lower than that. But tons of savings on mortgages and helping people on that side of things. So, I mean, we're literally busier than we've ever been. And Gregg can correct me on this, but Gregg's organization, as an example, when you measure September this year versus September last year, was up about 70%. So just think about that as a business where it's not, you know, a lot of, and I feel really bad about it because I don't want people to suffer and I don't want, you know, the stuff that's been going on in the world, but some businesses have suffered because of COVID and some businesses have been basically accelerated because of that. And ours would be one of those where the growth of the company is up quite a bit. And so those are some of the different areas, but I just think that that's such a powerful piece that when you're starting a business, you have a large tool belt to basically help people with a bunch of different products and services to get them a better deal. And the question is, who doesn't want to save money? Who doesn't want to get a better deal? Like, there's basically nobody out there that doesn't want to get a better deal, that doesn't want to pay less for their insurance, that doesn't want to get their investments working harder for them, that doesn't want to, you know, pay their mortgage off faster, you know, pay less interest, have more money go to the principal, pay your house off faster, build more equity. Like, nobody doesn't want those things. So that's why we're busier than we've ever been, because of the products and the services that we provide. Now, the other reason that we've been really, really busy is exactly the way that we're connecting here this evening, where there's, you know, 50 of us on the line here from people all across Canada, coast to coast, whereas before all this happened, we wouldn't have been able to connect on this platform, and it definitely wouldn't have been as normal as it is today. And, you know, after this, after we're done, you know, this meeting here this evening, I've got an appointment just after this, and I'm going to be connecting with someone. You know, I've been to their house, I don't know, 2-3 times, but they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just connect over Zoom. You don't need to come by our place, and, you know, we'll see you on the computer later. And it just saves us a lot of time, saves them a lot of time. And normally we were just connecting with people in the city that we're in. Now we're connecting with people in the province that we're in, and we're connecting with people all across the country. Whereas before it was very much a geographical thing, kind of like real estate. If you think about that, when you're in real estate, you're really only going to sell houses or help people buy houses in the city that you were in. And 99.99% of the business before COVID that I did was the same way. But now with the technology that we're able to leverage, we're all across Canada and, being able to do appointments. So it's really, really changed things a lot for us. And then also on top of that, the need for what we do, people wanting to look at their finances and get into a better spot, that is also skyrocketed on that side of things. So I digress. I could go along on that. And there's some awesome things that we do for people, like showing them their financial independence number, the amount of money they need to have put away, just like a great overall holistic financial plan. And Gregg will talk about the training program and how you learned that stuff. But I didn't have a background in the financial industry, so I wasn't sure. I was managing a nightclub before this, for goodness sakes. So not exactly, the same thing, but I was able to follow the system, get my training, and I was able to learn the business, in a pretty decent period of time. So get the next page. Last thing I wanted to mention, just like the difference that we make for people. I mean, you can see here, credit card debt in 2019 totaled 100 billion. I can only imagine what the number will be next year. It's obviously going to be higher. Owing that money to companies like Visa, MasterCard, Hudson Bay's, Canadian Tire, The Brick. Let me ask you guys a question. Who makes money off of $100 billion in credit card debt? Is it Canadians or is it the credit card companies? Obviously, it's the credit card companies and those big companies that are making that money. So we're one of the few companies, and I'm really proud of this. And this kind of goes for more of like quality of life and loving what it is that you do. But I just love that we're one of the few companies that helps people get out of debt. There's no WFG credit card that you can get. We're not referring to companies that are trying to get them set up with credit cards. So that's something I'm super proud of, is helping people get out of debt. And you look at the savings rate, 1982 was 19.5%. I was 2 years old at that time. Scary to think. 2019, it was 3%, 3.2%. You can see on the screen there. 2020, I don't even know if they'll be able to calculate it, but more than likely it's going to be very negative. And so just people are getting into a lot of debt. They're not saving money. And that's the huge need that's out there. And really, I remember falling in love with the business. I remember when I did fall in love with the business, and it was when I did some field training. So I actually did some field training with Gregg, who will be the next person I'll introduce to you guys here shortly, where we got to sit down with the family, go in their house. Now I guess we're doing it over the computer, but we got to help them rearrange their finances, help them get some better deals, get set up properly, all that stuff I talked about before. And the thing that really sold me on is I could see the look in their faces, like the look of relief, the hope for a better future, just having things organized and knowing that they were going in the right direction, and just the difference it made for people. And, when I was new in the business, I started when I was 24, and I'd sit down with people in there and say, Cam, where were you, 20 years ago? And I was like, not quite in preschool yet. I could say that joke before. Now it doesn't sound as fun. I was in university or college, but the whole point is that there's a huge difference that we make for people's lives. And then on the business side of things, the difference that we can make for people that, there was a person that spoke on our call today, working in the oil and gas industry. In the last period of time, they were laid off 11 times. And so, there's a lot of people that are hurting, that are looking for a more stable career. They're looking for being their own boss and having control of time and building equity for them and their family. And our company provides that. And there's a lot of people that we have that have become very, very successful and are able to do all those things. And that's what Gregg's going to cover with you guys here. And the last thing I'll mention is this. You can always make more money. This company's allowed us to achieve all of our goals and dreams. We have our dream house, our dream cars, dream vacations, help our parents, charity, save money, all that stuff. But the biggest thing that it's done for us is having that control of time and freedom of time. And when my wife got really sick with both of our kids, real bad, after, I didn't have to ask anyone for time off work. I didn't have to be worried about being passed up for promotions or not being able to pay our bills. We had our own business. I took the time off, and, I'd only been in the business for 3 years at that time, but both of those months my wife was in the hospital, they deposited $20,000 into our account, so we didn't have to worry. And that's the biggest difference it's made for our family, is the control of time. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Gregg. Gregg is one of, the top agents in Canada. I would say he would be one of the top younger entrepreneurs in Canada, not inside and outside of our company. And you guys will be very fortunate to get to hear him go through this. So welcome to the call, Gregg Strynadka.
Thank you, Cameron. Appreciate that. I call Cameron my brother from another mother. We've become such good friends and worked so close together in this business. I think Cam said the last 15 years for him. For me, I've been with WFG now almost 18 years. It'll be 18 years in January. Before I get started, I just want to wish upon all of you that you and all of your families are healthy and safe and doing good in these unprecedented times that we've never really lived through before, including, of course, what's going on in the different job markets and different things like that. So I just hope everything's going really good for you. And, even though our company adapted, I guess it was about 7 months into the pandemic, and we instantly adapted to just doing our business virtually. I was just so blown away that we were able to continue helping our clients, our existing clients and new ones, doing insurance applications with them, with online apps and online programs, and using Zoom and Skype and these types of things. But it's still weird a little bit to present this information to you staring into a little camera as opposed to in person. Our office is a little bit of a ghost town. It's for those of you that are from Edmonton, we're on 99th Street in Edmonton, just a few blocks south of the White Mud, 9910 39th Ave to be exact. And we have a 13,000 square foot office that 250 advisors branch out of here. And normally, to do a presentation like this, we would probably have well over 100 people in our office that night. So still getting used to doing it in kind of a quiet office sort of setting, but glad that you're here. A tiny bit on my background. I mentioned I've been with WFG now almost 18 years. Before this, well, think about it for a moment. What were you doing back in 2003? Hopefully you can think of that. I can see, I can't see obviously, but I can imagine that most of you kind of like tilt your head a little bit and you're thinking, because 18 years ago is a long time. Here's what I used to do before this. 2003, my family owned a Booster Juice franchise. How many of you have ever been to Booster Juice before? So my family owned one of the first locations in Edmonton. It was in City Center Mall. There were certainly some blessings about that business. At the beginning, it was very, very busy, very, very exciting. It gave me a taste of being an entrepreneur. I learned a lot. I met a lot of great people. And I also learned something that I didn't want to do for the rest of my life. Have any of you ever had a job or a business like that where you thought, okay, I don't want to do this forever. I can check this off my list. So even though we owned it, there were some real downsides to that business. I mean, it was a ton of risk because it was a huge investment up front. My mom and dad inherited some money, and they used that money as a down payment for a store. There was $50,000 for a down payment, and then we had to borrow about $150,000 to get into that business. And then I found out it's not flexible to own a business like that. It's not fulfilling because at the end of the day, it's pouring smoothies and bossing around teenagers. And also by the time all of your expenses come in, you really don't make a lot of money. So that business didn't really check off any of those boxes for me. So as you can imagine, I'm super thankful that I found WFG back almost 18 years ago now. So getting into our expansion campaign, I'm assuming that most of you are here for, you'd fit into a couple of categories. I guess some of you could just kind of be checking it out just because, and if that's the case, we're glad you're here. But more so, you're probably here because you're open-minded, or you're probably here, because you're specifically looking for something different, or maybe somebody that works with our company told you specifically that we thought that you might be good at this. Whatever the reason happens to be, we're glad you're here. And I don't want to echo too much what Cam mentioned, but I do want to tell you, some of you are thinking, wow, yeah, this looks good. You're open-minded. The products and services, you understand that they're necessary. We partner with all these massive companies, but you might be thinking that you don't have a financial background. Well, here's the thing. If you do have a financial background, that could be a great asset to you working with our firm. But we do not make that a prerequisite, and here's why. We're more interested in attracting the right type of person to come work with us, because we believe if we attract the right type of person that we can teach them how to do that. Let me explain to you what the right type of person is to us, okay? Do you like people? Do you like helping people? Are you willing to learn new skills, and do you have a good work ethic? Do you like people? Do you like helping people? Are you willing to learn new skills, and are you willing to get to work? If you have those 4 qualities, you could absolutely be our type of person. Here's the other thing that we're looking for. Are you a little bit or a lot dissatisfied with your current situation? Now, I don't know you. I don't think most of you anyways, so I don't want to ask you something that's too uncomfortable when I don't know you. But at the same time, I do want to get you thinking a little bit. So I'm just going to throw it out there. If the next 5 years go in terms of your finances and your job or your business, if the next 5 years in your job or business and finances go the same as the last 5 years, are you going to be happy? And for me, when I came and checked out a WFG presentation almost 18 years ago, I thought, wow, if my finances keep heading in the same direction, I'm just going to have more debt. And I'm already not happy at the business that I have, let alone if I do this for another 5 years. So I realized, nope, I'm not happy. And many of you have probably heard this definition before. It's the definition of one of the definitions for the word insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again, but somehow expecting things end up different. So I'm not sure what of these things might hit home with you, but a whole bunch of them really hit home with me. I came to this company at age 22, and I had about $15,000 in bad debts. Credit card, line of credit, basically nothing to show for it. Trip to Mexico, big screen TV, that was probably about it. So I was on track when I was making minimum payments that I was basically never going to have that debt paid off. So making more money to get my debt paid off, that was very appealing. Another one on the bottom right, to travel the world. I realized pretty quick that traveling the world required 2 things. Can you think of what those 2 things are? Sometimes people throw in a third one. But traveling requires time and it requires money. And then once in a while, somebody speaks up and says a passport. So I guess it does require those 3 things, but I didn't have time or money to travel, though I wanted to get out there and experience the world. And the last one that I'll highlight on this page would be to retire sooner. I was in my early 20s. I was about 43 years away from the common retirement age of 65. I was working 60 to 70 hours a week to run our store. And I just couldn't help but think, how could I possibly work another 60 to 70 hours a week for the next 43 years and not like it and not make enough money? And so these are all reasons that I took a closer look at World Financial Group as an opportunity for myself. I'm going to highlight this page fairly quickly. You can kind of read the numbers. Long story short, here's what's going on here. For most Canadians, there's more month than there is money. Many Canadians, they consistently go backwards in their finances every single month. Couple of reasons. Could be economic reasons, getting laid off, that type of thing. The price of everything all around us continues to go up and up. In Canada, we kind of have a habit of trying to keep up with the Joneses, whereas really the Joneses are probably just more broke than you are. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, most Canadians just head further and further into debt every single month. So how much of a difference could it make for you in your life if you found a way to make an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month? And what if you could enter a training program with a company where you could study and take training over the course of a month or 2, maybe sooner, maybe less time than that, and then be in a position to make an extra $1,000, $1,500 a month on a part-time basis, right? We're going to talk to you in a moment about opportunities to make significantly more income than that. But I just want to let that sink in. What if there was a way that you could make an extra, say, $1,000 or $2,000 a month? And I know that there are more people open to that idea more than ever before. One is because of the pandemic and job uncertainty and financial uncertainty. And the other one is before the pandemic, you saw companies like Uber, Skip the Dishes, already way on the rise, people doing something part-time to make some extra money. You know, do you really think that most people were driving Uber just for fun? I don't think that they were driving, you know, intoxicated strangers around in their car just for fun. They were doing it because they needed to make some extra money. So we know many people are open to making extra money. On this page, I'm going to attempt to describe to you a little bit about how our system works. Most of us, and we've had incredible success with our system. Let me put some numbers on that. World Financial Group has somewhere around 47,000 licensed advisors in North America. 47,000 advisors. If I had to take a guess, I would guess that probably about 20 or 25% of them are full-time and the rest are part-time. Of those numbers, about 12,000 of our advisors are here in Canada. And of those 12,000 in Canada, about 3,800 of those advisors are right in the province of Alberta that, of course, I happen to live in. So you might be kind of wondering, well, has WFG seen any success? Has this system been successful? Being close to 50,000 licensed advisors, I believe, says that we're extremely successful. We also have partnerships with many of the largest financial institutions in North America, which I think also speaks to the success that we have had here at our company. So how does our system work? Well, most of our agents start part-time. Why do we do this? We believe that it allows more people to take a look at the financial industry and our company specifically on a part-time basis and taking the financial stress out of it. We know that most of our competitor companies, if they want to hire or if they want to recruit you, they're going to be asking you to quit your job. And you might be thinking, well, I don't have a lot of money saved. What if I'm not good at this? What if I don't like it? But that's just how most of our competitor companies work. So if you think, well, I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I'll be good at this, well, there's a great reason to dip your toe in the water, see if it's warm, try this business on a part-time basis to see if you like it and see if you're good at it before you ever get to the point of considering leaving a job to be full-time. So for me, I fell in love with this business very quickly, just on a part-time basis. I was part-time for 1 year and I've been full-time since. But just witnessing firsthand the way we were helping people save money on their debt, their insurances, lower mortgage rates. I know Cam mentioned this right now, but it's just worth mentioning again. Mortgage rates have literally never been lower in the history of, I was going to say history of mankind. I guess I don't really know what a mortgage rate was 1,000 years ago, but they're the lowest in Canadian history. And, you know, clients that got mortgages at 2.5%, 3% a year or two ago, many of them are able to get mortgages at 1.7, 1.8, 1.9%, depending on their situation. If you got your mortgage more than 6 months ago, you need to talk to one of our agents to see if our mortgage specialists can actually help you out to save money on that. Kids' education plans, better returns on investments. And I remember after I was part of helping out a family, and I remember thinking to myself, I remember this vividly, I remember thinking, I would way rather help families with these types of things as opposed to pouring smoothies and bossing around teenagers. So how do we teach people how to do this? How do you take somebody like Cameron that was running a nightclub? How do you take somebody like me that was managing, part owner of a booster juice store? We have a world-class training program. We start people part-time. Part of our training is that this is a very highly regulated industry. We have to do a course called the LLQP that's government regulated. The government authorizes the entire exam process. They're the ones that approve the licenses. Whether somebody works for WFG or one of our competitor companies like an Investors Group or a Sun Life or a London Life, et cetera, we all have to have the same educational background as far as this course and exam process. That's part of our learning. A really important part of our learning is hands-on, that you get matched up with a trainer that's going to work with you and actually teach you how to do everything from A to Z. And then we also have classroom style training. And training in WFG has literally never been easier than it is right now. Even up to 7 months ago, only about maybe 5 or 10% of our training was available on Zoom or Skype. Now, 100% of our training is available on this platform. So most of our offices are not, of course, in full operational order at this point due to the pandemic. You can plug into classes from the comfort of your own home, sitting at your kitchen table, sitting on your couch. I don't know if any of you live in a place in Canada that's warm enough to be sitting on your deck, not at this time of year anyways, but it has never been more convenient to get a financial education and learn some business skills than it is right now. And our business comes with an extremely flexible schedule. Most of our part-time advisors start working with us between 5 and 10 hours a week. It could be a little bit less. It could be a little bit more. That would be up to you. Some of the training is in the morning, some of it's in the afternoon, some of it's in the evening, some of it's on the weekends. And so we can really figure out based on your schedule when there are training opportunities for you to plug into. And ultimately, let's say you get licensed over the next month or two, then for each client that you help, you're usually going to get paid somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 per client. And really that's working closely with a trainer. So you're just learning and getting paid as you are learning. Next, on the senior broker side of things, that would be more of a full-time position. That would be more of a management position, somebody actually working towards becoming a business owner with our company. At WFG, we have a position called a senior marketing director. You become a senior marketing director when you're training a team, when you have an agency of 10 advisors. And some of you might think, well, I don't think I want to do that. That's okay. You can just get licensed and trained and help families and make an incredible part-time or full-time income. But some of you are like myself and Cameron, where maybe you have skills teaching, coaching, managing, owning a business, or you've just always wanted to own a business, and maybe you would love to work towards having a business like that. So just to paint you a little bit of a picture, a senior broker, a senior marketing director that is personally helping some families, they get compensated agency overrides, which is just an easy way to explain when an experienced person and a new person go and help a client. When it comes to us getting paid, part of the money goes to the new advisor, part of the money goes to the experienced advisor doing the training. We call that an agency override. So our new people get paid to train and our experienced people get paid to teach. And also through our business, we're self-employed and you can actually eventually own your own business. And an average senior broker that works in our office here, 99th Street in Edmonton, the average income is actually higher than $125,000 a year. But just to keep in mind and get an idea that that's having a small agency that's helping about 5 families a month would earn that senior broker around $125,000 a year. And this all adds up to a proven system. Let's look at some success examples. Now, I have no problem whatsoever admitting to you that not everybody that works with us makes money. Not everybody that works with us makes a lot of money, okay? In fact, not everybody that starts with us in our training program even passes their licensing course. Not that it's that hard, they just don't put in the time to study the material and take the classes and pass the exam. But of course, we're going to share with you some success examples. And we could go through a list that would be 10 times this big of smaller success examples, part-time people that, you know, they work right now in trades or they're full-time parents or they work in retail or they work in restaurants full-time and they work with us part-time and they make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month. Those success stories are incredible because those part-time incomes make a big difference for those families, especially in this time in the world. But on a bigger scale, these are all people that work with us full-time. About 90% of them work in Edmonton. So just so you know, this is not an international list by any means. Our company does not have one person down in some big city in California that makes a bunch of money. The nature of our industry and the success track record of our company, we have a lot of people earning a lot of income. The last number that I saw in terms of how many people in WFG were making over $100,000 a year was 2,500 people in our company making over $100,000 a year. Now, I'm not here to tell you that we're the only company in North America that has 2,500 people making $100,000 a year, but I am willing to put it out there that that's probably not a very big list. So we have a track record of success. I love it when we get down to these on a personal level. You know, people coming from personal training and teaching, Booster Juice owner, engineer, human resources, house cleaner. Lena was 18 years old cleaning houses when she started with our firm. This number is outdated because this was at the beginning of the year. She's now over $220,000 a year in income. Carrie Hughes used to be a bank manager. Trevor Jong used to be a tree planter. Cameron Michaud used to be an engineer. Paxton Fritsch used to be a police officer. Ben Spangle used to be an apprentice electrician. And I could go, Jason Bergeron was in the military. And his income has grown so much in the last 8 or 9 months that he's now at $260,000 a year. So success examples, men, women, young, old, different cultural backgrounds, different job backgrounds. Our company is actually a little bit like the United Nations, which is something that we love. Successful people from all different types of backgrounds. Tiny bit on our recognition program. I just really believe that most companies do not do a great job recognizing their people. At most companies, they recognize people only when they make mistakes. And at WFG, we take about 1,000 people, all expenses paid, to Hawaii every year. There's other pictures on here in Europe and in Tahiti and just Atlantis, all over the place. Let's see, there's the World Cup of Hockey that was in Toronto a few years ago, top left, middle left, that's Cameron, our first speaker, and I, standing outside the Super Bowl in Atlanta last year. And once in a lifetime opportunities that seem to come up in this business over and over and over again. Even as I talk about it, I just want to pinch myself a little bit, because somebody that's pouring smoothies, bossing teenagers around, is not the type of person that typically goes to Hawaii every year and gets to go to the Super Bowl and Stanley Cup finals and NBA finals and all sorts of cool stuff like that. So we have a world-class recognition program that I absolutely, absolutely love. Now, just curious, what kind of recognition program does your company have? Is it more on that side of things where they recognize you when you do something wrong? Is it more on the side of things like WFG when they have incredible recognition all the time? Or is it just kind of indifferent? I'll tell you, it feels amazing to work for a company where you're really appreciated. And last page, what did you find the most interesting being with us tonight? First of all, could be a complimentary financial checkup. That was not the purpose of having you here today. But if you're curious if your investments could be in a better place, do you have the right type of life insurance, the right amount, the best price? Is your mortgage at the best rate, et cetera, make sure you get back in touch with the person that invited you on tonight. And keep in mind, if they're new, then they're going to have somebody that's experienced working with them to help you through that whole process. So first of all, could be a complimentary financial checkup. Second part could be part-time or twin career. Maybe you want to learn more about our part-time training program. Here's what I can promise you. I really, truly believe that every single person that enters our part-time training program, at the very least, will gain a very valuable financial knowledge. And think about it for a moment. In your life up until this point, how much financial knowledge have you gained? How much did you learn at school? I know for me, at school, they seemed busy getting me to read Romeo and Juliet, dissecting frogs, and trying to learn trigonometry and all this sort of thing. And I learned basically nothing about basic finances. What if you could just come into this company and learn more about your finances and make better financial decisions for the rest of your life? How valuable would that be? You know, next, what if you could earn some additional income while helping others? Would $1,000 a month or $2,000 make a difference in your situation? Every once in a while, we'll even have people part-time that make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year of income with us on a part-time basis. But what if you could just make $10,000 or $20,000 a year on a part-time basis in addition to your regular income? And keep in mind, we work with you and your schedule. This is a very flexible business, and it is more flexible than ever before. You can learn everything you need to learn, and you can attend all training in the comfort of your home. Last but not least, on the full-time business owner side of things, you know, do you find yourself in a situation that you're looking to actually make a career change? You know, or maybe you've always wanted to own your own business. You know, do you want to have control of your time and earn residual income? Do you want to have control of your time and earn residual income? You know, I could echo what Cam talked about, that, you know, all of the money related things in my life have been awesome. I've been able to buy my mom a home, my dad a home, my mom a car, my dad a car, taken my family to trips all over the world, taken my dad to a Stanley Cup Finals game in Las Vegas, taken my dad to a Stanley Cup Finals game in Boston. Cam and I went to the NBA Finals game 1 of Toronto Raptors in Toronto. We went to the Super Bowl last year in Atlanta, and the list could go on and on and on. The money stuff, it is wonderful. More than anything, it's fun, and it's a less stressful kind of life when you don't have to worry about money. But money's not the most important. For me, as it was for Cam, it's the freedom of time. And I have a young family. My girls are 7 and 10. Of course, I've been in this business when they were born, and to be able to take the time off that I wanted to take off, to be with my new children and my family, to be able to just have a flexible schedule when it comes to kids' activities, swimming lessons when they're little, Christmas concerts at school, all of these types of things. You know, if it wasn't for this business, I just shudder to think how much of that I would have missed out on. If you've never been an entrepreneur, we'll teach you how, and we can help you build a WFG business that supports the kind of lifestyle that you want, whatever that lifestyle would happen to look like for you. So with that, the last thought that I'm going to leave you with is this: have you ever taken the time to interview your future? Which basically means talk to somebody that's been doing what you do, except they've been doing it for longer, 5 to 10 years longer, and just see if they're happy. Do they like it? Do they get enough time off? Do they make enough money to do the things they want to do? And, you know, I did that. I went around and met all of the other franchise owners in our mall, City Center Mall. I didn't really interview them, but I just talked to them, and they didn't seem happy. They were working all the time. They weren't making as much money as they thought they were going to make. And every single one of them was wished or was trying to sell their business. And so I thought, wow, my future is not that bright. All of these other small business owners around me don't seem happy. And so I encourage you, interview your future. And that should give you a good idea if you're on track to have a life that you're actually going to enjoy, free time, fulfillment, the money you want to make, et cetera, et cetera. So with that, we would love it for you to reconnect with the people that invited you out here tonight. Tell them what you found the most interesting. If you have any questions, write them down. We want to answer every single question that you could possibly imagine. And if the person that invited you is very new with our company, they will have somebody experienced with them that might be better equipped to answer those questions. And as the world gets back to normal, I'm an optimist, so I'm optimistic the world's going to get back to normal and there'll be a vaccine and all that sort of stuff. I'm an optimist. I look forward to meeting you in person, possibly even in my office one day in the future. Thanks for being with us tonight. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody, and we'll talk soon.